We are live.
Oh, right. We're not doing that. Yeah. Welcome to Gold. Yes, you lost track. We haven't known so long. Welcome to Golden Goal TV. There we go. We got there in the end. Yes, it's a Premier League preview show at the same time as exciting Thursday night football, which you've guessed it. We will be doing live score updates from the Manchester United Real Betis game, the game they were saving themselves for on Sunday. Scary Betis. So we'll be doing goal updates. We will also mention briefly the 2-2 Arsenal draw with Sporting Lisbon. But yes, here we go. Let's get the show on the road.
Fitting way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They do it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones.
Andrew Townsend! A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends. An immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
Yes, great goals there. And, don't know how many goals we had there. Was it more than 7? Let's get on with the show and first introduce the panel back on the show. Dan, how are you doing?
Oh, well, I mean, good as expected. Like I said earlier, it's just definitely a 7.
7 out of
yeah.
10, eh?
Yeah, it's good to be back, though.
Yeah, good to be back. I wonder if this is your 7th show.
I was thinking that just now. It must be close.
It must be close, if not over. Anyway, if you don't know what we're referring to, have a look. Have a look. It's worth it. And back in the producer's chair, Sam, mate, welcome back.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm all good, my friend. Shame Arsenal didn't win today. 2-2 against Sporting Lisbon, taking that to the Emirates. Yes, should be an interesting one. We will be giving you an update or regular updates, depending on how many goals there'll be. Maybe less than 7. Man United versus Real Betis. The game they were saving themselves for clearly on Sunday.
Well, you've got to, haven't you? You've got to.
We do have one more guest who might join at some point. Long-awaited return of a certain panel member. We'll see if he joins or not. You have to wait and see. We'll find out. And you never know. You never know. A Manchester United fan might just come out from under the rocks later. To be decided. Let's talk Premier League then. Let's focus on the weekend's games. Now, technically, this game might not be exciting, but as you're on the show, Dan, I do want to mention this because last time in the reverse fixture, you beat Bournemouth 9-0. And then was it a week later or so, you conceded 2 goals against the Man United. Now, you're going into this game having put 7 past United. Technically, you should probably put 14 past Bournemouth, but God knows, considering what they needed to Arsenal. What do you think is going to happen, Bournemouth-Liverpool?
I think it's going to be a medium game in terms of sort of excitement to watch. I expect Liverpool to play well. I think we're kind of coming back in the Premier League at the minute. Kept a few clean sheets now. The front three looks like it's starting to click as well. So I think that gives us a chance. The midfield have more energy. I think Fabinho's coming back as well. And I think it's a game that we can win. We've got a good defence at the minute. Obviously, Bournemouth are a team that can go for the result.
I'm going to have to interrupt you, Dan. We've got a goal in the Man United game. No, it's not 7-0 to Betis. Not just yet, anyway.
Give it half an hour.
It is in fact 1-0 to Manchester United. Having a break against Liverpool clearly helped.
Was it an own goal?
No, it was scored by the person who should have probably done something on Sunday, but didn't. It was Marcus Rashford. Red hot Rashford that was blowing cold on Sunday. No, sorry, Dan, carry on.
No, I was just with Fabinho and that and the midfield starting to click. I think the team again is starting to play together. I think they've all got used to the new players, and I think really it's a game we should win. Bournemouth like to shock a team, is what I was saying earlier. They like to fight for the game, but I think we've got enough at the minute to go and win it, and I'd say probably a 2 or 3-0 to Liverpool, to be honest.
I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna have to ask you that. What do you think has changed for Liverpool in the last? That they are picking up these sorts of results. They're doing a little bit better. What do you think was the change for Liverpool?
I think having Konate, I think the defence becoming a bit more strong. Robertson and Trent starting to get their assists again. Again, like I said, Fabinho coming back usually makes it all work in midfield. Just seems like the team's sort of pieced it all together. Núñez, Gakpo and Salah all seem to have clicked together. I think that was what sort of wasn't there before, was knowing what each player was going to do, the strengths, the connection. But I think now it just seems like they've all started to understand each other. Like they've got the positive mindset. I think before the confidence was low, but they seem to have that back now. And if they're not taking that confidence into this weekend, then to be honest, there's definitely a problem somewhere after last week.
Well, absolutely. Sam, what do you think is going to happen? Which way do you see this game going?
I don't think they can have another game like they did last week.
No, I'd be very surprised. They don't tend to come in pairs.
Yeah, because before playing us, they really weren't doing well. So I think that'll give Liverpool a massive amount of confidence to just blow them away, basically.
Just double checking something. Yeah, our guest is trying to get on, so we might have a big return coming up. Stay tuned for that. You can also get in touch with the show. You can post in the comments. Feel free to join there. You can also post in the WhatsApp group and say what you think about the weekend's Premier League games. What are your predictions? We'll give you a shout out. Any comments so far, Sam?
No comments at this present moment.
I was watching Real Betis, see if they can put 7 past United. Next game I want to move us on to. You've got, technically on paper, it doesn't look overly exciting, but look at it this way. You've got Everton, who are trying to be better than they were under Lampard. And then you've got Brentford, who are very much gunning for Europe. Dan, I mean, Brentford are impressive, despite Ivan Toney's naughty activities with the betting front. Brentford are going for it.
Yeah, Brentford looked good when they first came up, though, to be honest. I think from the first game when they beat Arsenal 2-0, you could say maybe it was luck or something, but they didn't look clueless. They looked like they'd come up. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, how they wanted to play, and they've kind of stuck to their sort of methods. And well, look where they are now. But yeah, I can see Brentford nicking this one. I don't think it's going to be a massive scoring game, but I can see Brentford nicking it. I think Everton are a bit inconsistent. They either win or seem to get hammered. So,
if I push you for a score prediction, what would it be?
Yeah, it's definitely a 1-0. I think Brentford are going to nick it. Not too many goals, not that exciting, but it'll be a good game for Brentford.
Sam,
just to pause in proceedings, can I have a big drum roll, please?
Don't get any more excited than that. There's the cost of living crisis. What's happened? Have Betis scored?
No, we've got a special guest. I haven't seen him in quite a while, so I'm not really sure who it is, to be honest.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in 10 years, mate. So,
well, I've not seen anyone.
Secret guest, please reveal yourself.
What's happening?
Yes, it's the return. It's the return of the George. He's not been seen since the World Cup started. How's it going?
Kidnapped in Qatar, that's what it was.
You got what?
Kidnapped in Qatar.
Told you not to go, mate. Told you not to go. They don't like blind people in Qatar.
No, they don't.
No, certainly. Well, good to have you back. It's the big return. You have to talk football, mate. So we've talked Liverpool and Bournemouth already. We're currently on to Brentford. Well, Everton-Brentford. And what do you think is going to happen in that game? I said Brentford are pretty much gunning for Europe. They're odds on to do it. What's your view on that? Where do you think that game's going to go? Do you think Brentford will nick it? Do you think Everton, who are trying to be better than they were under Frank Lampard and kind of failing, kind of succeeding? Where do you think that's going?
I think Brentford will easily win that, to be fair. I think they're going to go. They're going for Europe. Everton are near enough. They're going to be one of the teams that are going down with a bit of luck. I don't see anything apart from a massive Everton Brentford win.
Score prediction?
3-0.
3-0 Brentford. Straight in with a bang scoreline prediction there on these returns. Sam, what are you going for?
I am going to contradict that and kind of say I think anything could happen. It's one of these games that you.
Sam, that fence you're sitting on is peeking through the camera. Can you just?
I get splintered. Ask me.
Yeah, it's not one of those ones. If you were picking to put in a long series of a bet that you would choose. To be fair, Everton.
I'm sure Ivan Toney would.
Will lose.
Yeah, he would.
By 1-0.
Everton will. Did you say what? Did you say?
Well, I got it the wrong way around. Brentford will win 1-0.
Same prediction as Dan. Oh, there we go. Got there in the end. Yeah, I see Brentford winning this one 2-1. I'd say over Everton. Everton are better than they were under Lampard, but still not good enough. That's the kind of way I see it. Really. Put your predictions in the comments. Put them in the WhatsApp group. I've got an eye on the WhatsApp group. Sam over there. He's in charge of the comments. So the comment section. So. Get in touch. No goals. No more goals in the Man United game, should I say. So, yeah, only one so far, 6 to go. So, yes, moving on to the next game then. Now, Brighton. Let's talk Brighton. I want to talk Brighton because they have had a massive win over West Ham, destroyed them. They're now playing a Leeds side who are in trouble. Dan, what do you think? What's going to happen there?
Almost certain on the Brighton win. I think Brighton have got everything they need to beat Leeds. I don't think Leeds will make it easy, but yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a Brighton win. I'm going to go for a 2-0.
2-0, no good for Leeds. No goal for Leeds either. George, what are you going for?
I think Brighton will win. I think Brighton and Brentford are on this sort of uncontrollable train trying to got European football because there's not like above them. The only team that's in some decent. Well, okay, last week it was Liverpool. It's like Tottenham are shit, Newcastle are shit. So I think
Tottenham are doing quite well, to be fair.
they're only about 18 points behind my team. So.
Yeah, they're doing really well this season.
Yeah, I think Brighton will win. But I think my only issue with Brighton is they'll go on little runs, like 2 or 3 games, and then they drop points against teams you wouldn't expect. But I think they'll probably edge it like 2-1.
2-1 to Brighton. So Brighton, two people so far for Brighton. Sam, what are you going for?
No, this is a team I really do hope go down.
Brighton can't go down anymore.
No, Leeds. I can't wait to see them back in the Championship. So yeah, Brighton 3-0.
3-0 to Brighton. Right. I don't know. I see a Brighton win here. Leeds, they're not the easiest team to play, but they are in trouble, which does make them dangerous in a way. But I still, if we're going on Brighton's form, I still see probably a 3-1-0 to Brighton, I'd say, for that one. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Chelsea. Now, apparently, I don't know what you could read into this, what you will. Graham Potter has had a heart-to-heart with the players, and apparently that's why they've gone on a massive, not seen for a very long time, 2-game unbeaten run. I mean, Leicester, Chelsea. George, what do you think?
I don't think it's as easy for this because, it's quite. I know Chelsea have won back-to-back games, but Leicester are a good side. They're quite a difficult mid-table fixture to predict. if Leicester take their chances, like we see against United, but like that's not hard, is it? But like if they took their chances, they could have gave United a bit more of a game, and even in the Arsenal game, there was chances Leicester had. But I think you'll see Chelsea maybe edge it. What's that? Say 1-0. I'm not confident with that prediction, but I've been watching Chelsea all season.
1-0 for Chelsea. Dan, what are you going for? What do you think?
I think it's two teams that, if we look at where they are in the league, both shouldn't be in the positions they are. They should both be quite a bit higher. I think Leicester, when they play well, they score goals. Chelsea have maybe just been lacking that a bit. But, yeah, I think they're going to kind of be sort of equally matched, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 1-1.
1-1 draw. Tight game. Sam?
I think that the Champions League will give Chelsea a massive set of confidence, to be fair. I don't think there'll be much in it, like's been said before. But I think they'll come into it with their head somewhat held a little bit higher than it has been. 2-0 Chelsea.
Confidence. I think when it comes to Leicester, I agree with George on it. They are not an easy team, mainly because they're so unpredictable. One game they will cause Arsenal a headache and only give Arsenal one goal, or only let Arsenal only get one goal against them, and then the next game, they will lose to a team on the other end of the table. So with Leicester, it's a trick of which Leicester turns up, and I think that's the difficult part. That's certainly the tricky thing for me, and I'm hoping that this 2-game winning run, I mean, it's the biggest I've seen for a long time anyway with us. So it's brilliant, but we need to build on that. I think the best season we can possibly have right now is, see how well we give it a go in the quarterfinals. Whoever we get, just give it a go, because if we don't go through, at least we got to the same stage as we did last season. And if we really give it a go and then we go through by some luck, then fantastic. But it all depends. And I think in the league, if we can get some sort of European football to rescue this season, then that would be good. We are 11 points off Tottenham at the moment in 4th. I'm not saying top 4 is going to be achievable, but it's certainly going to be a task. Is it impossible? Mathematically, no. Do I think it will happen? Probably not. But remains to be seen. There's a lot of the season to go, so it's taking it one game at a time. I think we'll beat Leeds 2-1. It's not going to be anything massive, but hopefully it will be a win nevertheless for the Blues. Any comments?
No comments at the moment.
All righty.
We should be at 7 by now.
It's a shame. Have we got 7 people watching? Next is the 5:30 game. Now, the reason I've brought this up, because quite often, there have been times where Palace have been a bogey team for Man City almost. There have been times where, they made Man City drop points. Now, Dan, do you think Palace will do the same this time? Or do you think Man City have too much?
Usually I'd say that I'd like them to. This season it doesn't massively affect us. I mean, it would be a bonus, but we're not in the race for the title at the minute. So I'd say that Palace, they're always a bit of a slippery team for City, but I can see City edging it 2-1, to be honest, if not more. But it's a prediction that I'm not 100% confident with, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 to City.
Okay, 2-1 to City. Nice and narrow there. George, what do you think? I mean, you've got a different outlook on this completely, surely.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a time warp. Like, I'm not going to lie. I remember doing a show like this last season with Dan when he thought Liverpool was in the title race and Arsenal was going for top 4. So it's like we've swapped at the minute. So I'm slightly more confident that Palace can get something than I was that City were going to drop points against Newcastle.
Okay.
they just seem to always slip up against Palace, but from a City point of view, they can't afford to slip up. They slip up and Arsenal beat Fulham.
Absolutely.
Then get the bunting out, really. But I think it'll be a draw. So hopefully Vieira can do his old team a favour, really. But I think what people forget about Man City as well, they might have a massive squad, but they've still got to play in the FA Cup. They've still got to play in the Champions League. They've still got some difficult games. I know that I think they've got Liverpool next week.
Yep.
So that,
I believe it's next week.
Yeah, that won't be an easy game at the minute because obviously they're on the high of beating United. So, Palace, we hear from our friend Laura, you don't know what Palace you're going to get. I think Palace's questions have always been the same one. They haven't got anyone who confidently can score at a regular time. If they had someone who could score like 10, 15 goals, I think Palace would be in the positions where Brighton and Brentford are, to be honest. But we'll see. I'm going to go for 2-2 and Sambi to score the equaliser.
Now that would be fun, wouldn't it? Yes, draw there for Palace and Man City. Not out of the question, I don't think. Well, we'll move on first to Sam.
Yeah, I'd like to say that Palace are going to kind of do something, but I just can't see it. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Man City.
2-1 Man City. I mean, looking at this game, I have to say it has happened. You have had these sorts of results between Man City and between Palace and Man City. I think teams like Nottingham Forest have recently shown that you can upset Man City if you get them. That if you can get them the right way, you can upset them. And they have. Keep in mind they have RB Leipzig to play in the midweek, which that tie is not fully sorted yet. They won all going into it. Now it is at the Etihad, so bear in mind that will probably be City winning, but you never know. And I think in this game it could be the same because Palace are a team that, yeah, sure, they need more help and support in the final third because they don't really have a goal machine of any kind as such. But it's one of these things, as I always say, the team that has nothing to lose is quite dangerous. And I think that's what people need to be careful of when it comes to teams like Palace. Because Palace, technically, they've got nothing to lose. Yes, they're 6 points away from the relegation zone. But realistically, they're still probably in a comfortable position not to get relegated, you'd say. So really, they can give this game a go. And as Man City, they need to keep a close. They cannot make a mistake. And that puts a lot of pressure on them, I think. So I'm going to go 1-1. 1-1 between Palace and City. And yeah, that will be interesting then. Any comments?
We have no comment.
Alrighty, I'm going to move on to George for this one. Fulham Arsenal. I mean, the way Fulham are going, they're quite something. They nearly beat Brentford. They certainly gave a Monday night thriller, which is a rarity. What do you think is going to happen? Fulham Arsenal. Bearing in mind what happened against Bournemouth. Nearly.
I'm still trying to recover from that. I said to a couple of people a couple of weeks ago, I looked at the group of games that we had and I said then Fulham's the hardest game we had. That was before we played Bournemouth. And I still stick to that. Like, I've watched the highlights of the Bournemouth game. To be fair, they're like, we would have won. If we didn't win, that would have been an outrage, like due to some of the decisions, and the ball possession we had. But Fulham, I really don't think it'll be easy. I think If Arsenal play how they play tonight, they'll lose. But we don't normally play like that in the league. It's like our good old friend Jonesy said to me, in the Premier League we're Goldberg, in the Europa League we're Gilberg. So.
Good one. I like that.
So I think I always back my team to win. Like this season, Arsenal have come. Because I've not really spoke about Arsenal the last couple of months. So
You've not been on for the last couple of months, so yeah.
I've kind of been I'm not been one of the fans that are going around talking. I've just game by game.
You're not guaranteeing a title for Arsenal just yet.
No, I've guaranteed top 4, but from it, like I've said to other people, if we finish 4th, that's a failure for me. But I think Fulham are dangerous. Do you know what I mean? I think the thing that falls in our favour is that is it Paulinho or Paulini?
Paulinho.
So
I think
he's like he controls their midfield as you see against Brentford. Without it struggled. So I think Arsenal edge it. All depends on injuries with us as well. Like, I don't know actually who's fit, who isn't. Because players out tonight. So, but positive news is Jesus is back. Not sure how much he'll feature before the international break, but and Arsenal, if Fulham have still got Mitrovic fit, that's someone you've got to watch out for, and Bobby Reed. So I don't think it'll be like a battering or anything like that, or I think it'll be like a close one. But I'm gonna go 3-1 Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Let's go with you, Dan. What do you think is going to happen there?
I think Fulham is a hard team to play this season. I don't think anyone expects them to do as well as they have. I think we say like Brighton and Brentford about Europe, but I think what we got to remember as well is that Fulham are in a similar position with similar points. And I think it's going to be a hard one for Arsenal, to be completely honest. And I can't see either team nicking a win. And I see it being a 2-2 draw.
Well, thriller at least. Thriller. Sam, do you agree? A draw?
No, I think we'll win.
No.
I think there won't be much in it. I think it's going to be a really tough game. We can't take it at all lightly. I think as long as we do the right things and what we can do, we'll win. I'm going to go 2-0.
You're so outraged, Sam. You're like,
yes. No. No.
No.
What's happening? How dare you?
I dared.
Fulham, Arsenal. I mean, Fulham are closer to us than Arsenal. Let's just say that. So I'm probably gonna go for an Arsenal win, 2-1 win out to Arsenal, but it's a tricky one. Fulham are a bugger to play, to be honest. They're one of these difficult teams.
Well, that's what I think people realise. Before, Arsenal would not have beat the teams who they like. They would have done what they've done against Liverpool at the Emirates. They wouldn't have done what they've done with United at the Emirates. They wouldn't have done what. But like, how Arteta has changed that team in a matter of months, I think is mind blowing.
You're looking at an Arsenal team you have not seen in a very long time.
I ain't seen it since we were title contenders, mate. I'm not gonna lie. Like Sam's probably more clued up with that than being another Arsenal fan, but I honestly think this is the best Arsenal team I've seen for nearly a decade, easily. Like, I have said that April worries me a little bit. But if you want to win the title, simple as that, you've got to get the results. But I just think even the Leicester away result, like, we wouldn't have got, and like Fulham, like our knows and the club know what they've got to do. Such a highlight. I know, all right, fair enough, we drew tonight, but even tonight, for example, I know it's not a Europa show, but Arsenal last season probably would have lost that.
You would have capitulated.
Yeah, and we seem to not capitulate, and I think that all comes from one person, is Zinchenko, because he's that kind of a leader. Like, so that's why I don't ever rule Arsenal out of a game. The only I said we'd lose, and I guaranteed it, was the Everton one. That's the only one I've said this season.
That was a strange one, but well,
New man, it died.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to interrupt. It's Man United 1, Real Betis 1.
Another question: Man United were as good as Liverpool. Oh no, they only scored 7, didn't they, Liverpool?
Well, okay. Well, Real Betis have equalised, so yes.
Right, so they need another 6 goals now, so they're on the right path. They've started.
They're getting there.
They've got 2 legs to do it, though. They could still make it 7.
Don't worry, Bruno's going to cry in a minute.
Oh yeah, he'll be on the floor crying in a minute. It's fine.
It's fine. If that happens, we will try to update you on it. I've just realised, lads, I forgot one game from Saturday that we haven't talked about. Spurs, Nottingham Forest.
It's all right. We can forget about them. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Everyone's forgot about Spurs.
No, I meant Forest. Come on, Forest.
No, I'll talk about Spurs.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. Here.
Oh dear.
I'll get comfortable. Hold on a second. There we go.
Yep, you and me both. Yep, that's better.
Go on, George. Spurs Forest. Where do you see? I ask, where do you see this going? As if there's another option for as if you go for Tottenham.
Is it at Spurs?
Yes.
Okay, I still think they'll lose, but it's like I saw a thing on TikTok. And someone said it was perfect. Like the Tottenham are only famous for their stadium. It's like having a really nice house but shit furniture inside. Like I listened to the highlights after coming back from Meadow Tottenham game last night. I have
highlights.
Oh yeah, apparently.
I fell asleep. I slept through most of that game. I've tuned into it after the Chelsea women's game and literally fell asleep.
That's because
there were highlights. Wow.
Play QI, that won't make you fall.
No.
So they had 1 shot on target at home. Like, mate, I have more shots on a match day than they do in the pub. So they're just a mess, aren't they? Like, and I was having this conversation with a Tottenham fan, and he was like, "Oh, Conte's got to go." I went, "But how long are you going to say that for?" So you brought in the Conte who wins things. He's gone to Tottenham. We obviously know what's going to happen there. You're not going to win nothing. So he's got to go. Then you go back. Mourinho won stuff. Tottenham's the only club he didn't win something.
Well, this is what I was going to say. You bring in trophy-winning managers that even Tottenham don't win. Tottenham don't win anything. It's like, all joking aside, this is not right.
No, it's like being a Tottenham fan. It's like going through abuse throughout your whole life. Like, it's not just like child abuse, is it? Like, as a child, you don't watch. They're just used to disappointment. Like, I'm surprised they're not supported by the Samaritans, really, to be honest.
Well, I mean, they might be.
Yeah, like, it's just such on a serious note, it's a mess at the club. And then you see Richarlison coming out, what he said.
Yeah, I saw that. He took a dig at Conte earlier.
Didn't he just?
Like, and then you're like, even like, you got Ivan Perisic, or whatever his name is, at fullback. Like, and then you're bringing Pedro Porro on, or you're taking a Kulusevski off and bringing on a defender. I'm like, what is this? But their season's finished. Like, all right, they might get top 4. I doubt it, to be honest. Like, the only reason Tottenham are top 4 is not even a dig at Dan, but because of how poor Liverpool have been. If Liverpool started revving their engine, they'd run away with that top 4. I think everyone knows that.
Well, they might be doing that, Liverpool, the way this is. You know, that could still happen.
That's top 4, but like, I don't like. There's so much I could start like with Tottenham. It is just a laughing comedy show. Like, they are the gift that keeps on giving. You've had a bad day, just look at Tottenham. Like every day there's something. Like they're that bad. Even Nick sins Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Like that's how bad you are. Like
that says something. To be fair,
like a FIFA theme. Like that. But anyway, moving on. Forest. They need to start winning, don't they? Really, like if they want to stay. I know they're not in the bottom three, I don't think, but
no.
But their away record is atrocious. But what better team to play than Tottenham? So I can see it being a draw, perhaps. But yeah, there's like, do I Tottenham? Of course, bloody not. I love it.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, do I feel sorry for Tottenham? No, but because I love seeing their disappointment and.
So, what result are you going to go for this game?
1-1.
1-1. Okay, Dan. What's your thoughts?
Forest away is not great. I think that could go against them slightly, but then Tottenham are inconsistent. They look clueless. They, to be honest, just seem like they don't want to be there anymore. Something's gone massively wrong at that club over the last few years. You know, one thing that I was thinking earlier when we were talking about managers that win things was they sacked Mourinho just before they had a chance to win a trophy. That didn't make sense to me.
Literally just before the final.
Yeah, like 2 days before, I think it was. And that didn't make sense. That was the closest they'd come. And just you get the impression that it's not just the team that's clueless, it's maybe the people higher up a little bit. Maybe they have ideas, but the ideas never seem to come off. A couple of their recent transfers have done all right, but they haven't been an overall success. And I think the only thing that really gives it to them this time is Forest's away record. And I can see it being a very, very boring 1-0 match to Tottenham, but they're going to be very lucky with it.
Okay, Sam, what's your prediction?
Tottenham will do what Tottenham will do and lose. So,
thank you, Sam. Can I push you for a score prediction at least?
Yeah. Forest 24, Spurs nothing.
Well, I would have said Spurs minus.
That sounds like
really,
sound like an NFL score to me.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
Hey,
Said I'm bringing a Forest player on FPL.
Well, Tottenham want to get hold of Big Sam sometime soon. Really, steady the ship for him. You know, it's going that way. It's going that way.
Manager thing quickly.
they're bringing the great Pochettino back.
Yeah, but about the manager stuff, like they did bring in the amazing Ryan Mason. So
Right. Belief in the youth, mate. Belief in the youth.
Yeah.
In squad and in management. For that game, I mean, I'd like to see a Forest win, but I'm not sure about that. I think it'll be. I'll go on 3-2 Forest. Let's go for that. Right, next game then. As we're flying through them, let's go for this one now. I'm going to go to you, Dan, first for this, just because you'll see why. Man United, Southampton. So you've got Man United. I think they're still around. I haven't seen them for a while. And then you've got Southampton, who need any points they can get. Technically, you could say they're a very dangerous team to play right now. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, if United didn't have this Europa League clash tonight, they'd have had a 7-day recovery period. Always good. But, yeah, I think Southampton have been, they've shown that they want the points. But, again, they're not really winning games. They're not really scoring goals, to be honest. I mean, a lot of their goals come from, one player from his free kicks and that. But, no, they haven't got a massive, massive goal scorer in that squad. I think United have had a few players that are scoring goals, which has worked in their favour. And as much as I'd like Southampton to win it, as much as I think United are maybe not on the best of form at the minute, I'm still going for United to win it. I just don't think that Southampton have got enough to get past them. I think it's going to be a 2-0 to United.
2-0 to United. Bounce back from the 7-0 drumming. George, what are you going for?
I find this really interesting because I think this is where you'll see what Man United are if they're just had a good few games, or if they are the team that got battered at the start of the season. I just think, like, obviously last week they were in 7 heaven. Just everyone goes on about United, and you don't hear nothing from their fans when they lose. But like, I was hearing quadruples before the Liverpool game.
I'm still hearing them.
I don't know
Wow,
where,
you've got to be the only one.
but if, like I was saying, I said to people, I think I said it to Luke actually, like if they had a bad result against Betis tonight, and then say they drop points against Southampton, Manchester United could proper just dip for me. Wouldn't be a shame, but I don't know. I think everyone's just writing Southampton off. I think Southampton are licking their lips like, man, we've got Man United. Yeah, all right, they lost 7-0, and they're probably going to be angry and bounce back and all that stuff. But Southampton ain't no mugs. At the end of the day, they obviously beat you boys a few weeks ago, but nothing.
Mind you, that wasn't difficult at the time, mate.
But I don't. It all depends what, like, they've got the new manager, haven't they? Like, that's a secure till the end of the season, I think, now. I think, like, I agree with Dan, that probably will bounce back, but I would honestly not be surprised if Southampton nick something. Like, don't know, maybe 7 minutes from the end.
Yeah, possibly.
7 minutes added on.
Yeah, definitely, and nick it in the 7th minute.
Yeah, I've been there, done that last week.
Yeah.
So probably 1-1 I'll go for.
Oh, you nicked my prediction. Okay, Sam, go for you.
From their number 7.
Sam?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, I had myself on mute there.
That's not a good idea.
No, it's not.
Definitely done that.
To quote Boris Johnson, you're on mute. Yeah.
7-2. Southampton.
Oh, imagine.
Can you imagine if it happens again?
But would you put a bet on that?
It'd be good on.
You could. The minimum bet on Sky Bet is 5p. I mean, it's worth 5p, surely.
It's just got to be, hasn't it?
Can you imagine? Consider the United once put 9 past Southampton.
Yeah, that'll be a brilliant.
Are you genuinely going for this?
Mm-hmm.
My word. Well, as much as George has nicked my prediction, I'm also going to go 1-1 because I think you don't want to underestimate a team that's in danger and that needs to fight for every point they can get. And Man United have been known, like many teams, to underestimate these teams. And Southampton have, take the 9-0 out aside, Southampton have sometimes caused Man United to drop points. So we have seen it a few times. So a draw between Man United and the Saints is not out of the question. And I wouldn't say be that silly. Southampton need any point they can get. While United, could that have knocked them for 6? I mean 7.
No, it'd be 7, yeah.
That's what I said. Yes, I corrected myself there. Thank you.
Second half was 6, though, so I suppose you could be going to
that. So there was that. Any comments, Sam, before we move on?
I did actually think you were being really kind there because I thought you meant Man United.
Hey?
We're fighting for every point.
Well, not at the moment, but you never know.
Could get that way.
But,
they were at the beginning of the season.
But no comment.
Next game we're moving on now. This is interesting. West Ham, Aston Villa. Now you've got Villa who, pick up points where they can, and you've got West Ham who they go from beating Forest 4-0 to losing to Brighton 4-0. So it's just God knows where West Ham are at the moment. I believe they won their Europa Conference League match today. So where are they going? What on earth is happening, Dan?
West Ham are a mess. That's the first thing you can say. I'm surprised that they've sort of held on this long. I think a lot of clubs would have sacked the manager. I'm not sure if that's always the solution, and maybe they've thought that, and maybe they're just trying to get through the Conference League now to see it as a way back in Europe. I don't think that would do them a favour next season. I think maybe getting knocked out of that and reset. But Villa, I think, is a team that could quite easily nick something here. I think West Ham just look they look all over the place, to be honest, and they don't really have any. I'd say they don't have any goal scorers because they keep changing strikers or leaving them on the bench, or it looks like they don't quite know their starting lineup. But I think Villa are going to nick it. I think it's going to be a 2-1 to Villa.
2-1 to the Villa. George.
I think West Ham's issue is one thing, one only. I think it's David Moyes. How he's still in a job? Like, he must have, like, I don't know, graphic pictures of David Sullivan or something, because how he get that job is beyond me. Like, he's absolutely awful. Like, the football they play is negative. It's basically the Scottish Antonio Conte. It's just so negative. Like, and they have got a striker. He's called Danny Ings. You play him, he scores.
Yeah, but they've got about 4.
As I said a few weeks ago, I spoke to a West Ham fan when they bought Danny Ings, and he basically said it's like buying a dodgy car.
I'll give him that, to be fair.
Yeah, I like Danny Ings. I've always been a fan of him. I think he's a decent striker.
He's a good player. That's the problem. He can be. We've all seen Danny Ings at Southampton. He was putting them goals away like it was nothing.
Right, and obviously his injury problems are what do it. Does it? But they just look all over the place. I think you can see there's 2 players at West Ham that are definitely leaving in the summer, like in Declan Rice and perhaps Jared Bowen. But I just think it all goes back down to Moyes. Like, I really do. Like, if you're playing positive, they've got some really good players that you play some positive football. You're a bit like, I watched the game. I think it wasn't the Brighton game. It was one of the other games. Again, that was night in the cup. Like, they were playing really well, and then he sat back, and then they looked like, just play positive football, Moyes. It's not hard. Then you've got Antonio. For me, he's finished for me. But whenever Moyes is about to get the sack, he wins. And you never know with Villa. Like, it depends what Villa turns up. It's bipolar FC. They can play really well or just be absolutely terrible. But that's Unai Emery for you. But knowing West Ham, they'll probably win, and then Moyes stays. I know that I'd say about 85% of West Ham fans want Moyes gone now. Well, like, they must be, I don't know.
Not many are giving him the time of day, really.
No, I don't know. Who are they playing today? Like some Cyprus team, wouldn't they?
Yeah, Cyprus team.
So.
Antonio scored 2. I know that. I don't know what the final score was.
I don't understand this about West Ham. They seem to be doing a lot better in this European competition than they are in the league.
To be fair, mate, let's be real. We could probably get a 5-a-side team and beat all those teams.
Yeah. Look at who they're playing. They're obviously going to do better. I mean,
well,
look at the
that is
differences.
true.
Like,
that is true.
Like, half the team that they were meant to be playing today, gas. Like, I don't even think they're professional footballers. I know their captain was an electrician. So, if you're playing against the Premier League, that matter, you could be easily winning stuff like that. But I mean, they've never really had an issue with them, to be fair. But they should know, like, when we said teams who shouldn't be, definitely a living example of that. So I think they'll beat Villa, but I have to say that because I hate Martinez, and I'm still waiting for him to stop crying after getting hit on the head and with the ball that went in the net, and then crying because Martinelli cheered before he scored. So But I will go 2-1, 2-1 or 3-2. I don't know what one to go for, so I'll go for 3-2. 1-0.
To West Ham.
Yeah.
All righty, Sam, where are you going with this?
I'm going to go with. I don't think there's going to be much in it. I don't think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think West Ham will just nick it 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. Yes, see, for this one, I've got a bit of a Chelsea invested interest. All depends.
Just so you know, Chelsea fans say there's a lot on this West Ham Villa game.
Yes, there is. Abdi's pulled out. He said he was going to come in at halftime, but he's not going to make it. Something to come up. Real Betis have scored before, so it's 1-1 still. So yeah. No worries, Abdi, mate. We'll see you soon. With Villa are currently level on points with us. Now, it depends what happens in this Leicester game, but I need Villa to preferably drop some points. So I need West Ham to do something. Do I think they're going to do something? Well, you just never know, because you never know which West Ham Limerick turns up these days. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in that game, because I just can't tell what's going to happen with West Ham, but you can tell that Villa will try and do what they can, and Villa are a dangerous team to play because we've seen a few of their games, and they are capable of delivering. So, and West Ham are just too inconsistent. 1 minute they'll hammer someone, the next minute they'll get hammered. So the hammer swings both ways there. So 2-1.
Hubert's died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Right, next game, the last game I want us to cover. After I said West Ham will win will draw 2-2. I don't know what you guys have heard. So yes, I muted myself by accident there. Right, next game. I hope people can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Where's the fixture list? Right, there we go. The last game I want to cover is Newcastle versus Wolves. Now, Dan, you've got Newcastle. They're free-falling. They're falling apart. You've got Wolves who, coming off a great win against Tottenham. Where do you see this game going?
Was it a great win or was it an easy win? It's Tottenham we're talking about. I'll leave that one with you.
To Wolves, that's a big win, probably.
Yeah, I suppose so. But like I said, I'll leave that one with you. But Wolves, I think, have a chance. If there was ever a time to beat Newcastle, it'll be at the minute. They've not lost that much in the league this season, really, compared to other teams. But yeah, they seem to be struggling a bit, to be honest. They struggle for form. And if Wolves can go there and start well and play well for the game, I don't see why they couldn't win. But Newcastle have had quite a few games lately where it's not really gone their way. But it's going to be a hard game for both teams. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the most exciting game, but it's not going to be easy for either team. And I fancy Wolves to nick it by a 2-1.
2-1 Wolves. George.
Not in the earlier part of the season, I'd easily say Newcastle win, but they folded like a deck of cards, didn't they? Really. The Wolves have been playing right recently. To be fair, they've had some decent results, but I think Newcastle they know they've got to bounce back, because if they honestly want a chance of getting Champions League football, then they've got to start picking up these wins. Like, as soon you can't, like, Tottenham ain't going to be losing. Well, I hope they do, but losing every week. Liverpool will start winning now. So Fulham not that far behind. So you don't want to let other people into the picture, really. But I think it might just be a typical Newcastle, like a 1-0 or something. The problem with them, they're just so out of sorts and they've got no confidence at all. But this is where these big name players have to step up, like Kieran Trippier and people like Callum Wilson. Like, they should be used to going through dips in form like this. Like, you've got to think Trippier played for Tottenham and Atletico Madrid. Like, realistically, they're not, apart from Tottenham, like Atletico Madrid are one of the biggest clubs in the world. So
sadly,
so he's going to have that sort of leading mentality. And people like Pope and Callum Wilson have been playing relegation football for like God knows how long. So they're used to digging in deep and getting through these like parts of the season. But yeah, I think I'd say Newcastle 1-0. I would like to see Newcastle win just because I don't want Tottenham in the top 4. So I'll go 1-0.
1-0 to Newcastle. I don't know. I don't see Newcastle winning this one at the moment. They just, to me, they're in the Newcastle are one of these teams. They rocket launched themselves to an area of the table where they didn't think they'd be at this stage, and now they've realised they've kind of gone quite far. But now realising that they've fallen apart. Newcastle have started to level out. Like I said, I think they have started to level out a bit. What will end up happening is a lot of people have thought they'd be in the top 7, like finish Conference League or just in the Europa League place. And I think that will still happen. I think Champions League places, I think Newcastle have leveled out to a stage where I think Champions League places are out of the question. I think they're slowly going back down to a more realistic level where people thought they would finish. So I don't see them winning this one, but hey, they could surprise. But I'm going to give this win to Wolves. There we go. 2-0 Wolves for me for that one. Right. Any comments before we close out the show?
No.
No. Okay.
Of course, no comments today, mate.
No, mate. No. All right.
No,
All right.
no.
I'm going to close
All
out the
right.
show now, mate.
Mate.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, George. Welcome back. Hopefully, you can join us for a couple of shows. And we'll keep an eye on how Arsenal are doing, and of course, your commentary on the beloved Tottenham, which I'm sure we'll enjoy as well. Let's do the usual, shall we? Dan, where can people find you on Twitter? You can tell I've been working all week.
Yeah, so it's Dano, DANNO 12021.
Calling down with the kids there. George, where can people find you on Twitter? What's going on these days?
So you can find me. I've got a complete new name now as well. So you can find me at George AWFC, and for those who don't know what that stands for, it stands for the Arsenal Women, because I've got really into going to the women's game now and part of the group that's bringing all the atmosphere that Sam heard on Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've been drunk since then.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
He's always drunk.
So we're bringing the atmosphere and stuff, so it's absolutely come on leaps and bounds. So I'm part of the group called the Red and White, which is, I think that's what it's called, at the Red and White on Twitter. It's simple. So if any of you guys that like women's football,
we'll talk a bit more about that as well in a minute. But yeah, follow at the Red and White, and of course follow George as well. Sam, where can people find you?
Everywhere really. But so on Twitter, Sam Wilson AFC with the one
where the eye is.
Yeah. It's weird not having George do it for me, to be fair.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I was.
Don't worry, he's only just got back to the shows. Come on, give him some.
Letting you talk for a little while.
That's very kind. Right, you can find me on at Subsonics UK, at SUBSONIX UK. You can find us on at Golden Goal TV as well as Facebook, Discord, WhatsApp, all your other bits and bobs. Before I tell you to subscribe, like, share, and comment, and click the bell to receive the notifications. But before we close out, I want, I'm not going to talk about this because I'm tired. But I'm going to let George here tell you all about a little project that the channel will be, that George will be doing on the channel. George, over to you.
No pressure.
No pressure at all, mate. Spotlight on you, pal.
Sam's going to be involved with this as well. So we are, because of how well it seems to be received and feedback, we are going to start doing a women's football show in the summer. We're going to start with the World Cup. That's in Australia. So we'll be having all different guests come on. Sam's kindly offered to help with whatever stuff we're doing. We're going to have a new intro. So yeah, if you're watching or you know anyone who's into women's football, wants to get more involved in it, that's going to be the place. We're going to show how the WSL's atmosphere has improved, like what I'm doing with the red and white stuff, and obviously I'll pass on to Sam because he briefly could tell you about how he thought it was on Sunday, because I don't like to big myself up.
Yeah. So I got to the pub around. Bearing in mind, this is a tiny, tiny pub, not made for match days at all. And if they hadn't already, it was a pain in the bum to get to Palace. And from the minute I stepped into the pub to the minute we left, in a group of about 40, 50 people off the top of my head, it was just constant noise. 90 minutes, it was just noise. Having a song about each player. That's something they've really worked on. So yeah, I think it's really exciting.
My question on the atmosphere is, because I've discussed this when it comes to women's football, I've discussed it with a few fans that have come to women's games, is do you find the atmosphere, for lack of a better word, safer than you would in men's football?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you find it more inviting rather than kind of apprehensive?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for one, I think for that final, if you had over 9 people that you bought tickets together, it was £5. But even if you didn't, it was £10. So at that price, you can take the whole of your family. Whereas to a men's football game, you've not got the opportunity.
Now, George, going back to you, I mean, you've been going to women's games for quite a while now, and you go to men's games as well. So you can tell, what would you say is the standout difference from the fans that attend the men's games to the ones that attend the women's games?
I will say, obviously, I'm the only one who can't see in this group where we go to the women's games, and I've made some really nice friends there. And even at the men's games, I'm treated equally. I don't mean that, but I think language is a bit different. Like, people go to the women's games and think people don't swear. They do. They've not stood next to me telling the referee to open her eyes. And I can see better than her. But that's a barrier we're trying to break. Like, so I think you'd be surprised the amount of people have come over from the men's football to the women's because they can't get tickets. But it's hard to say because, like, I think the quality of football, I know people say, oh, you've only got really 4 great teams in WSL, but I find that really disrespectful because there are some really good teams. Like, there's the lower games in the WSL, some quality games.
Well, still some good results at the lower half of the table.
Yeah, but I'd say the difference probably is what Sam said, bang on the prices. Like you can, like I'll tell you, I'm off to Bayern Munich on the 20th, and it's cost me about £100, and that's flight, accommodations, and ticket.
Wow.
To do that for
I
them,
mean, you'd never get a men's game for that.
I'm looking at like £300-400 at least.
Mm.
And I think at the moment, because obviously we're moving forward to try and build the game on a bigger stage, it's very accessible. And I don't mean obviously in a disability way. I mean that I go to Meadow Park, like I can walk past and Beth Mead's there and talks to you, or the players are so, and Sam will be able to comment on this a bit as well. Like the players are so easy to talk to. Like I know I could go to the Emirates. I'm not going to walk past Ben White. Like he's not going to say, "Oh, right." Well, he might do, but like that. I think that's the difference. Obviously, I can only comment on an Arsenal base because I don't go where I don't support any other team. I know there are Chelsea fans that say that as well. I think it's just the start in a big journey. Like obviously Arsenal and Chelsea. I'd say the main two. Sam, would you say that? And then Man United creeping up.
I also don't think Man United and Man City are that behind. To be fair,
I think they're far behind.
But yeah, just to emphasise on that point, I think so. At the end of the game, so bearing in mind they just won their first trophy in 4 years.
Yeah.
Katie McCabe saw a young girl with an Irish flag in her hand. She took it. She came to her, took it off her, went and lifted the cup, walked around the pitch, gave it back, and she knew that girl out of the crowd, and that's just something that you're not going to get at any level of men's football.
Also, like Arsenal, and this to tell you the difference as well. And obviously, Dan and Hubert, you can relate to this because you watch men's game. And we're playing Brighton away in Crawley. They went all the way there, all the fans. So that's the lot who I'm with there. It got called off when they was like about 20 minutes away. So they went and watched the Arsenal Man United game in the pub, which was good.
Nice.
Men. But Lotte Robin Moy put money behind the bar that they was all in.
Oh, wow.
Could all have a drink.
That is excellent.
I'm sorry, and I do not think you would get that with a men's game.
I agree.
100%. Yeah.
So,
quick update: Man United have gone 2-1 up against Real Betis. Anthony scored.
We didn't need to know that really.
yes.
No, let's just forget that.
After it, for the millions of United fans listening,
There's only 7 United fans left.
But I just think that as well. Like, I think this is just my opinion on it, but I think the problem that we have is too comparable. People, when you talk about some people, when they talk about the women's game, they're like, well, the men's game. Like, it should be two different things.
well, the atmosphere clearly is very different.
Yeah, and it is. Like, I think it's a more family oriented, or not firm, but more. I'd say more. Like, you go to a men's game, there's a lot of toxic stuff. Like at the Emirates, it's right, and people should be able to sing what they want, and that's something we're trying to break with the barrier at the women's game. Like, as I've always said, as long as there's songs that are not abusive or derogatory to someone, I don't have any issues with it personally. That's always just been me. Whether it's a women's game, like an under-7s game, if it's United versus Liverpool, that's just me. But I think it's just a work in progress. Like, let's think of it realistically. Women's, like before the Euros, I don't think many people would have looked at women's football.
No, the Euros has brought it to the centre stage. And I think coming from a football fan who doesn't go to many games for one reason that, of the atmosphere at men's football, it often concerns me as a football fan to go to men's football. I would rather go to women's football because the atmosphere is much better and you feel, from my observation, much safer and like you would have a much better time.
It's like a family, like it's family orientated as well. Like I don't mean that. Right, we have kids with us, and like, so that it's not like they're all women. Like there's blokes who go to the men's games and like what I do. So it's like everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, your religion, what colour you are, anything, disability, nothing, none of that matters. Like Sam would tell you, that pub we was in, probably not built for a lot of us, but we made constant noise. Like there was, like we've even got like people like Michael McCann who does stuff on TV, I think, saying about the atmosphere. We've got people like we're on BBC, like we're on the FA, like it's mentioned everywhere now. So if we can feed that through to other clubs to do, which I think they will, then, well, for me, it's positive. Like obviously, if when the game gets a lot bigger, ticket prices will go up, and your little bits from the men's game will probably drop into it. But for me, that's just what happens.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's inevitable, I think.
My argument is with the women's football and the men's football when it gets compared, and Hubert, you might get this a bit more. So when people talk about rugby or cricket, you don't really get the comparing between two England teams for women or men. It'd be football. That's just my opinion.
No, it's a fair point, to be honest.
So they're the sort of debates stuff like what we're doing now. They're the sort of things we'll be doing on the shows. Obviously, we'll be doing team guides for the World Cup. So Sam will have to do some research. As long as we ain't talking about Sam Kerr, I'm all right.
You leave them alone, proper blue.
Yeah, I would cheer. At least Emma Hayes is geared up now. So I just think like they're the sort of things we're going to do, and I think those sort of debates. Sometimes people feel awkward about talking about them sort of things, but if you're doing it in a safe place, it doesn't matter.
I think it's all about encouraging to have these conversations because it's all about being comfortable to talk about these things, because I think we should be comfortable to talk about these sort of things like women's football. It's big. It's risen in popularity. It's risen. People are taking notes. People are noticing it. People aren't just looking away. You know, I enjoy watching football as much as men's football. I was watching the Chelsea women's game yesterday, following my team, because to me, Chelsea's not, Chelsea's a club regardless. I follow the men's and the women's because that's what should be happening, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I will tell you a funny story before we finish, and it's about Sam actually.
Which one, Sam Kerr or Sam?
No,
Sam.
The only Sam that matters to me. So we were talking about meeting up on Sunday at the pub. And
he knows.
So we were talking about the pub, and then he was, "Oh, where shall I meet you?" And I'll just this pub. And then he was like, "Oh, my friend Olivia's going to the pub." So the whole time that we've been talking, Sam's friend is in the same WhatsApp group or something to do what I. So I thought that was quite funny. Like, Sam would have known where he was going anyway without me having to.
Coincidence. Hey, smallworld.com. Well,
exactly.
Topics like these that will be talked about, and I think we are really excited for it because I think it's important that we pick up the coverage of women's football, because it's important that it gets talked about and it gets recognized for the beneficial atmosphere that it does and for everything good that it brings to the football world. So yes, we will be increasing our coverage over time to women's football, and yes, it will be the World Cup, then predominantly with the WSL. It will probably start from an Arsenal point of view, but we will be looking at expanding it to hopefully other clubs as well.
Anyone is welcome. So
absolutely, from any club, no matter whether you're Brighton or whether you're Arsenal, whether you're United, whatever. We want to hear from people because We want fans from either clubs, whether it's on the men's or the women's side. But we stress, and I will always stress this, we cover clubs that we are able to cover because of the fans we've got. So if you want your club covered on this channel, join in, have your voice heard. But we're definitely looking forward to this big step on the channel, and hopefully we will make it work. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. We will have what that noise was, but we will have it all there for you. So yes, that's the big exciting news that we extended 3-1 to Man United. Fernandes scored. Anyway, so that's why we wanted to extend the show, but to talk about it and to emphasize this big news, which, well, I'd say it's big news for the channel, and hopefully you as people watching will agree. So subscribe, please subscribe, like this video, subscribe to the channel. You will get updates on when we do our shows, including the women's content. So it's big things are looking up for the channel. So thank you everyone for watching, and yes, we'll see you all soon.
Bye.